19 years. I've been living with MS for over 19 years. That's amazing to me. For almost 2 decades, I've been living with MS. I've been living well with MS. Every year around the anniversary of my diagnosis, I like to do a video with an update to my MS story. So this is the 2025 version of my MS story. For those who are new to the channel, hi, welcome, glad you're here. A quick review of my story. In 2006, I had my first discernible MS relapse. And what happened was, over the course of a weekend, my right leg was not functioning correctly. And my foot was kind of dragging a little bit, and I was having a hard time keeping my gait even. And I went to the doctors, and they sent me to other doctors, and they sent me for tests, and they sent me for other doctors over the course of the week. And I ended up in the office of a neurosurgeon. And he looked at my MRIs, and he said, yeah, I think we need to admit you to the hospital for some more tests. And I said, okay, when? And he said, right now. I'm going to call them and let them know that you're on your way. Go get admitted. Yeah, that was really scary. It was really, really scary. So I got admitted to the hospital. They did a whole bunch more tests, including a lumbar puncture. And the neurosurgeon came into my room one day with a neurologist and said, good news, it's not a tumor, but here's your new neurologist. And my new neurologist said, we think it's MS, but we're not 100% certain. We would like to watch you and see. And I thought to myself, that's good. Watch and see is good, because I really don't want MS. So they gave me high-dose steroids in the hospital, which helped quell the inflammation. I had a lesion in my neck, which was causing the issues. And my foot started to get better, my legs started to get better, and they sent me home. And it really got my attention. I decided that I was going to start taking better care of myself. I wasn't doing too bad. I think I was pretty healthy at the time, but it really got my attention. And so I decided to make some significant diet and lifestyle changes. I started eating a more vegetarian, whole food diet. I added yoga and I added mindfulness, and I think all of these things really helped. Over the course of several months, my foot drop resolved almost completely. You would never know now, watching me walk, that I had foot drop on the right. It occasionally will bother me if I get sick or if I get stressed, or if I'm not eating well, I might notice a little weakness on that side. So I saw my new neurologist every 6 months for 2 years. They did MRIs. And after 2 years, he said, your brain is kind of unremarkable. Go ahead and live your life. And if you have more symptoms, give me a call. And I thought, excellent. Bye-bye, doctor. I continued with my healthy diet and lifestyle as best I could. I maybe not as good as I had been previously, but still pretty good. And I went 10 years without another relapse. My second relapse was a little bit more subtle. I had some numbness and some weakness and some spasms that were coming on the left. And it was these 2 fingers and the outside of my left foot, and I have a numb spot on my face. And initially I kind of ignored it because, I couldn't be sick. I was too healthy to be sick. Yeah, I eventually went back to the doctor. I went to a new neurologist this time because my neurologist had moved on, and they did more MRIs and they did a nerve conduction study, and they didn't really see anything. So they said, let's wait 6 months and we'll test you again. And they did, and they didn't really see anything, but yet I still had these symptoms. So I asked the doctor, who should I see next? And she sent me to an orthopedic group. And they did a bunch of x-rays and put me through a bunch of tests. And they said, structurally, you look pretty sound. I said, okay, who should I go see next? And they sent me to a spine surgeon. And he looked at my x-rays and he said, aha, I know what's wrong with you. See these discs on your spine and your MRI? They're pushing on your gray matter, and it's causing your symptoms. So we need to do surgery. We're going to cut you from the front, we're going to go into the back, and we're going to fuse 2 or 3 of your vertebrae. Yeah, that sounded a bit extreme to me. So I said, wow, that sounds like a big surgery. I think I'm going to get a second opinion. And he looked at me and he said, well, you can go ahead and do that, but if you do, don't come back to me. Pretty arrogant. So I said, what? And he said, no, what I mean, he tried to backpedal a little bit, is if you have another surgeon do surgery on you, you can't come back to me and expect me to fix it. I said, okay, doc, thank you, goodbye. And the next doctor that I chose to go to was a physiatrist, and they treat patients in non-surgical ways. And this physiatrist was awesome. He was really, really good, and he did an exam and he looked over my MRIs and he said, 100% do not get that surgery. He said, but I am concerned about you. And he sent me on to the hospital for special care and a specialized neurologist who did an extensive nerve conduction study on my arms and my legs. And he said, yeah, your extremities are fine. It is definitely your central nervous system. And at that point, he sent me to our local MS center. And I was able to speak with an MS neurologist. And she is the one, sorry, motorcycle going by. And she is the one that was able to give me my diagnosis based on my lesions, based on my 2 relapses, and my symptoms. So in 2017, I received my diagnosis and I started on a DMT. The DMT that I chose was Copaxone, and I am now on the generic version of Copaxone, and it's still working well for me. And after that, I got really serious about my diet and lifestyle. And I started reading everything I could and started reading all the research and what could I do to possibly slow this down. One of the first programs I found was the Overcoming MS program, and I'll put a link below if you'd like to check it out. And it is a 7-step program of diet and lifestyle changes. The diet is predominantly whole food, plant-based with the addition of seafood. And there's exercise and vitamin D and stress reduction and changing your life for life and helping family members not get it. Excellent program. I also read up on the Best Bet diet and the Walls protocol and the research of Dr. Roy Swank, and I kind of did a mix based on what I read. And right now I do a predominantly whole food plant-based diet. I don't eat any animal products. I exercise regularly, like I purposely move my body every day. I walk the dog. I do yoga, I do Zumba, I do Pilates, I do some weights. I purposely move my body every day to try to keep it in the best shape it can be. I also get good sleep. There's so much good research on how important sleep is to our brain and our central nervous system. So I am religious about trying to get good sleep. And I practice kindness in the forms of compassion and mindfulness. And this reduces the stress hormones and it helps me to be happy. So where am I now? I am postmenopausal now. And over the last few years, I have put on a little bit of weight and I've lost a little bit of muscle tone despite the exercise that I'm doing. I am going to try to lose the weight and tone up the muscles and work on my cardio and my flexibility and try to get in a little bit better shape. I am excited for the future, reading all the research that's going on around MS. We live in amazing times. Just 30 years ago, there were no treatments for MS, and now we have over 20 DMTs. And there's a much better understanding on how diet and lifestyle changes can help us to manage our symptoms and possibly prevent progression. One area that I'm really excited about is the gut microbiome. There's a lot of research about how our guts are connected to our brains and how our microbiome is really important. All those trillions of microbes in our stomachs and our intestines are so important to our health. So I'm really excited to see what's happening with that. I'm going to be working on my own gut microbiome and trying to increase the health of my microbiome by increasing the diversity of fibers that I have in my diet. I have interviewed some people over the years who are eating predominantly plant-based, and they seem to be doing really well with their MS eating this way. So I'm excited for that. My question for you is, what kind of videos would you like to see from me this year around diet and lifestyle changes? Put your questions in the comments below. I love to hear from my viewers. To see more on living well with MS, watch these videos next. And until next time, be well.